And every month I
Yeah.
would take it through the touchless car wash with all the harsh chemicals, and I would videotape it and show how it's, one side is beating and one side was dead. And I would update my post. And I think it has, God, last I checked a few months ago, it had like 150 or 200,000 views, this single post, and it got, spread all over the
Awesome.
place. This is now a, a fictitious product, this ceramic coating, and now it's coming to market. I'm testing something that people really can't have. So they're really interested in all this hype that I'm creating with it, and documenting the post and so forth. And I had the car for 2 years, and I documented it right up until the time I turned it in, and videotaped it right there. I would walk out in the morning. I also kept it outside. I never garage kept it. Hot South Florida sun. Um, I would actually decon it with wheel acid just to get any kind of contaminant
Yeah.
stuff. And people are like, you're crazy, and it didn't affect the coating at all. So 2 years, I'm ready to turn this thing in. I had like, I don't know, 100,000 miles because I drove like crazy, and it was literally like day one when I turned it in, and I documented everything. And I've been a believer ever since day one. And I feel it's a special product. Um, it's in a unique category that really no other coatings are in. Um, and I'm happy to be using it.
Hi, friends. Welcome to the Opti-Coat podcast, where we share stories from detailing professionals and highlight cutting-edge products, techniques, and tools that'll help your detailing to accelerate into the future. Wherever you're listening or watching this podcast, please follow, like, subscribe, and share with a friend. I hope you enjoy the conversation. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Opti-Coat podcast. Today we have David Fermani joining us. We love to just dive straight in at the beginning of every episode. We love to ask guests, how in the world did you get into this world of detailing? And we're going to ask you a lot of questions about the different jobs that you're doing. Now you do a lot of different high-end, I see especially Porsches, a lot of different high-end collectors cars, and how on earth did you even get started in this whole world?
So I've always loved taking care of my cars. My dad taught me at an early age, how to wash cars, and I've always been kind of OCD in that respect, which it's the underlying factor in most detailers, lifespan. So I was going to college, and I got a job at a very, very special and unique car wash. It was in my hometown of Redford, Michigan. It was, get this, an indoor, do it yourself, touchless car wash. It was the world's first and only car wash like it. So it's kind of like there's 13 stalls indoors, and it's kind of like the setting of a outdoor coin operated self-serve car wash, with the brush on the wall and all the different settings for wash and rinse and blah blah blah. But it's indoors, it's touchless. There's no brushes, and no brushes needed. There's a vacuum, an air hose. You basically paid for the time that you were there. We would bring out a bucket with all the goodies in it, like towels. This is way before microfiber towels were even invented. This is 1990. Um, Tire cleaner, engine cleaner, armor all, glass cleaner. So it's a real little detail bay indoors, and we charge you for the time that you're in there. So it was a fantastic job. I kept my car clean, and it was great in the wintertime because people wanted to get out of the cold and detail their car. Summertime, they weren't as busy as wintertime, so they entertained other avenues of income, and they figured detailing. So they started detailing. I actually was their personally detailer, doing wash and waxes and interior details, very basic stuff. And then soon after that, I went to my, God, I think it was 1990, like late 90. I went to my first Auto Magic training class. They had a big presence in Michigan, and it was a 5-day class. and I've never been to one like that. It was pretty unique. It was a 5-day class. This is when clay magic was just hitting the market, so that's pretty long time ago. Um, and they 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 wanted to get this detailing off the ground. I helped them, and we were doing mostly retail. And one day, a dealer, one of the used car managers, was washing his car there and said, "Do you guys do dealer work?" And they said, "No. Would you like to?" And that's kind of sparked the whole thing of them getting into volume detailing. And they hired a crew of detailers. At this time, I um, had finished college. I was selling cars at a Ford dealer, still working at this car wash so I could get my free car washes. I worked like 1 day a week on the weekend. And I'd watch their progress opening this detail shop, and they'd be busy. And I couldn't help notice the owner's problems all the time managing detailers. It's not,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's always been since day one, obviously. And um, I continued helping them out for about 2 years while I sold cars. Um, and they grew the business, and they had a manager running it, and it was just hard for them to maintain a car wash because they had 3 of these locations and do the detailing as well. So we kind of negotiated back and forth for me to manage slash own the business, their detailing department, and we came to the conclusion that I would own the detail shop. I put it in a different name, a different doing business as DBA, and I ran the detail shop. I left car sales, which I loved. It taught me more things about business than anything, how to sell. That's the key component to running a successful business is being able to sell and know your customer. So I opened up the detail shop, and God, so early '90s is when I first started my own detail shop, and I bought the shop with they had 3 employees, and then soon after I grew it to 5, and I still it's what's funny is the first employee that they actually hired, his name was Chuck. He still works for the company today.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
I talked to the second and third person, Mike and Eric, probably a few times a year. So we keep in touch.
Nice.
And they worked
Yeah.
for me for, geez, like 20 years. So it was,
Wow.
yeah. I had sold that first business. I was just burned out doing dealer cars. I mean, we had one of those, it was a Rotunda car polisher. I don't know if you've ever seen one. It's, it's, it looks like a car wash, like a 1 bay car wash with brushes, and
Okay.
you
Yeah.
basically spray paint polish on the car, and then you run the car through with the brushes, these soft cloths, and it basically, after you wash the car, obviously, and it will polish and remove all the polish off your car in like 3 minutes. So we were doing like 30, 40 cars a day at that point, just running them through. That's all the dealers wanted. Yeah, probably left straight line
Yeah.
scratches in it. Nobody cared back then. As long as it was clean and shiny, you wiped the little cracks and edges. But yeah, I jumped right into high volume detailing, and I would send my guys to Automagic training, and I was testing products for Automagic way back then. I had a really special relationship with them. There was no such thing as high end detailing or products at that point. It was all bulk, chemicals like Automagic and Carbright and Ardex. They were the key players in our town. Um, so I did that until I got burned out, and I sold my business to a close friend of mine that I grew up with, and I got in the insurance business. I was an auto appraiser for Travelers Insurance, um, and I transferred down to Florida. Michigan was kind of not doing well at that point. The recession was hitting, and a lot of
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of foreclosures, people losing their jobs, especially in the auto industry. So I moved down to the land of opportunity, which was South Florida. My sisters both moved down there just prior to that. My parents moved down there full time. They were snowbirds, and I decided to move down there. And uh, things went well. I was done with detailing, spending a lot of time dreaming on an Autopia forum, which was the first of its kind, pretty much back in those days. This is the early 2000s. Spent a lot of time there posting and reminiscing about all the things that I was involved with detailing. And it was a high volume world that I was in.
Right.
It was, yeah, you spent, when people would say, I spent $100 on a can of wax. I'd be like, huh? Are you crazy? I use
Right.
automatic. And all these people thought I was just a hack detailer because the products that I used. But I never really heard about Optimum for one, and all these other people that were high-end, quote-unquote, brands. And I remember just Scott Wax. Scott
Yeah.
is one of the big influencers of that forum back in the day, and myself,
Right.
just getting into a different way of seeing things. Um, his passion towards high end and high quality stuff, and then Optimum no rinse. And I'm like,
Right.
how can this work? I'm power washing everything, and he's using hardly any water. So that really
Yeah.
triggered me. And we had lots of discussions online, and I would challenge people like, how can this work? And and it wasn't until I met my good friend Todd Helm down in Florida, works for Rupes, obviously, and he showed me firsthand how O&R works. And I was like, ever since then, I've been
Awesome.
the biggest fan. So I was starting, I was on the Autopia forum, and I would post, just discussions about different things, and I was very active. And somebody reached out to me and private messaged me and said, "Hey, my dad has a couple of cars down in Fort Lauderdale. Would you be interested in doing them?" Like, I was kind of retired from detailing. I had a corporate job, and I didn't think about doing that. And I said, "You know what? Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing it. What kind of cars are they?" And he said, "It's a Bentley and an Aston Martin." And I'm like, "Holy crap! I've never seen one of those in person, especially in Michigan." So of
Yeah.
course I said yes. I detailed them. Spent all weekend working on these two cars. Never done that before in my life, and I made write-ups of the details that I did on Utopia, and there wasn't hardly any South Florida detailers. And when I did this write-up, everything kind of snowballed. I started getting private messages, and I kind of was known as the detailer in South Florida. And it's a really high-end area, and that's kind of where I cultivated a business out of my garage. I'd be working in the insurance business, but every weekend I'd be taking care of people's cars. And then what really spiked it was when I met David from Optimum, Dr. G, and he allowed me to try out Opti-Coat. And this is 2009, and
Yeah.
very interesting product. And back it up a minute. Besides Scott, Anthony Orozco was like
Yeah.
the groundbreaker for the ceramic coatings in the country, if not the world. He made a post. I think it was $200 or $300 in an hour. It's still on Autopia today, and he basically advertised, "I can ceramic coat a car in an hour, charge $300, and move on to the next one." And people are like, "No, there's no such thing as this." And it lasts all these years, and nobody understood the concept of a paint coating. It really wasn't even called a ceramic coating back then. It was a paint coating, and I was really intrigued by the concept. I thought it really had potential, and I reached out to Dr. G, and he sent me a sample. This is long before anything was for sale. This is 2009. I don't think it was for sale. Gosh, 10 or 11 maybe. Um, so I did a write up. So I got a brand new company car. It was a Ford Fusion, and I taped the car right down the middle, down the glass, down the the bumper, the grill, and I ceramic coated one side, and I left the other side bare. And I showed the whole, thing, documenting everything. And every week I would take it through, or no, how was it? It was every week I would wash it with Dawn dishwashing detergent because everybody thought Dawn destroys your car. And every month I
Yeah.
would take it through the touchless car wash with all the harsh chemicals, and I would videotape it and show how it's, one side is beating and one side was dead. And I would update my post. And I think it has, God, I think last I checked a few months ago, it had like 150 or 200,000 views, this single post, and it got, spread all over the
Awesome.
place. This is now a fictitious product, this ceramic coating, and now it's coming to market. I'm testing something that people really can't have. So they're really interested in all this hype that I'm creating with it, and documenting the post and so forth. And I had the car for 2 years, and I documented it right up until the time I turned it in, and videotaped it right there. I would walk out in the morning. I also kept it outside. I never garage kept it. Hot South Florida sun. I would actually decon it with wheel acid just to get any kind of contaminant stuff. And people are like, you're crazy. And it didn't affect the coating at all. So 2 years, I'm ready to turn this thing in. I had like, I don't know, 100,000 miles because I drove like crazy. And it was literally like day one when I turned it in, and I documented everything. And I've been a believer ever since day one. And I feel it's a special product. It's in a unique category that really no other coatings are in. And I'm happy to be using it.
Yeah, how would you say it's set apart? I mean, you've been aware of it and using it since day one, like you said, and there's so many different products that have come, that are they're trying to do something the same, they're doing something a little bit different. How does it still stand apart after all these years?
Lots of reasons. So, it's chemical composition. It's not like a glass ceramic coating. Obviously, you can tell Opti-Coat from a mile away, it being a syringe. So it is fresh paint safe. I've documented on multiple occasions, and I've had tests that I actually need to publish these things, where I have had a couple panels where I've had my painter put 4 layers of clear on, and literally the day after, when he's able to, when you're able to touch the paint, I ceramic coated half of it, and this is a white fender, white panels, so you can see if it yellows or not, and nothing. Years down the road, I have one panel that I still have in my garage because I need to do a test on it. He put 4 coats of clear on it. I literally ceramic coated it the next day, and I kept it in my basement in a dark place. So you're coating fresh paint, putting it in dark places where it can't cure, and I put a second application on like 3 months later, just to double it up, to see, trying to accelerate if there's going to be any damage. And of course, I Dr. G this whole time, like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And I told him about this test, and I've coated dozens and dozens of new freshly painted cars over the years, and I've had 0 problems. I've had debates with paint reps. I've had debates with people online. You can't do that to fresh paint. It's going to, not allow it to outgas. It's going to suffocate it. So in that respect, it's a special product. I like it because it's very versatile. It can be used on everything. I put it on glass. I'm pretty much exclusive to Opti-Coat Pro. I don't really go the lesser or the more. It works great for me. Opti-Coat Pro is on my Cayenne, and I did a post on my page, I don't know, a year ago winter. This is almost like a year and a half ago, and that was 10 years that it was on my car.
Wow.
I had actually put this on a customer's car when he bought it, and I maintained the car for him, and then I bought the car off of him. So I've had possession of this car for geez, 11 plus years, and the coating is still like going perfect. I decon it, and that's it. It's a white cayenne, and it's like a little test animal that works out good. So I don't know another product that can last that long either. I take it through touchless washes. I have a membership at a touchless wash, so I go there probably twice a week with the car. It's right near my work. It's another benefit of Opti-Coat is it's super impervious to chemicals like touchless car washes, acid. I've never, knock on wood, ever seen one fail yet. Um, I always follow the directions, obviously, and I've never had a customer call me and say, "Hey, it's not beating anymore, or it's not working, it's flat." I mean, I could walk them through some decon steps, but it never fails. So for 15 or 16 plus years of using a product and I've had zero failures on both myself and my customers, how can I not stand behind a product like that?
Definitely.
I put it on my wheels. I use wheel acid because I'm lazy, because the touchless wash doesn't do a good job on the wheels. So maybe every couple of months I'll shoot it down with acid, still beating water. Yeah. And so it's a great product.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And O&R is a huge lifesaver in what I do, because a lot of the cars that I maintain, you can't really introduce a lot of water to them. They're sitting in collections. You don't want to power wash.
Oh, sure.
And then it's just marinated in there. So O&R is like the perfect thing. And people say like, "Oh, you're going to scratch these cars by using this stuff." Trust me, I'm not going to spend countless hours making paint as perfect as possible and want to scratch them. So it's always done a fabulous job. It keeps making a good thing better. I wish he would just stop.
Can't keep up.
Yeah.
Well, I already have a few thoughts I wanted to throw at you, and I think Tug will appreciate it, because I know Tug, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, started in the dealership detailing world, and the amount of times that Tug has thought to himself what you said. I was doing dealership cars and I got burned out. There's the story of so many detailers. I guess I have two thoughts with it. How do you, I know your story is unique and you got out of it and you kind of got pulled back into it, but in a more high-end sense. How does a detailer that's maybe growing their business, that they're doing the dealership volume, how do you make those decisions in light of knowing your customer and knowing their expectations? How do you kind of make that jump, or is there a place for dealership cars in the high-end detailing world?
Yes and no. And I think dealership detailing or high volume detailing is very regionally dependent. I was in Florida. I was, like I said, I was working for an insurance company. I was doing high-end paint corrections and coatings on the side. And I'm like, I miss owning a business with employees. Mm-hmm. So as the economy got better, I put in for a transfer back to Michigan through my company, because they'd pay for all my moving expenses, blah, blah, blah. And it took 4 years to actually be able to move back to Detroit because of how the economy was. And with the intention that when I get back, I'm going to scout out where I want to be, the best place with all the dealers, and I'm going to open up another dealer, detail shop catering to dealers, and still bring this knowledge of high-end detailing and efficiency to that kind of market. And I was waiting to do that with the transfer. My wife has 11 brothers and sisters and like 45 nieces and nephews. So she became homesick within like 2 years of moving down to Florida. But it took literally 4 years to get back there. And within a year of me moving back to Michigan, I scouted out where I wanted to be. And that was critical of doing. And this is what I would say to anybody thinking about getting into the dealership detailing business. You need to literally plot out every single dealership on a map in your area. Then the next thing you do is you plot out every detail shop that is in that area. You start calling dealers. Hi, I bought a black Chevy Malibu, and I'd like to from you guys, and I'd like to have it detailed. Do you guys do it in house, or do you send it out? Oh, well, you're going to get two answers. Yes, we do it in house. We have a team of detailers. Or B, we send it out. Oh, what's the name of the detail shop? Kevin's Detailing. Oh, cool. Do you know how much approximately they charge? Oh, $5. Cool. Um, so you've known the dealership that whether they do it in house, which you want to leave that one alone if they're doing it in house because you have no shot at them mostly, or who the detail shop is doing cars for and how much approximately they charge. So then you call up the detail shop and you say, hey, blah 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 from the Chevy dealer called. I told me to call you about having my car detailed. How much do you charge? $125, $150. Oh, cool. Do you do a lot of dealers? Yeah, actually, we do this dealer, this dealer, this dealer. Oh, wow. How long have you done them for? Oh, well, this one's kind of new. This one's we've had for multiple years. Oh, cool. Great. Awesome. How many employees do you have? So you're doing all this surveillance on your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also listening to them about how they're trying to sell you and what their abilities are. Oh, we're going to hand wax it and then we're going to buff off the wax after we put it on there. Like, oh yeah, these people are idiots. I can blow them away. So you know their price, where they're located, how many employees they have, and you plot all this stuff out. So I found that in a high-end area, in the Metro Detroit area, was key because there was a lot of detail shops. They all did terrible work, and there was a ton of dealerships. So there's probably 40 dealerships within a 10-mile radius of where I wanted to be. So it was almost like shooting fish in a barrel. And you would basically just poach all these dealers that they did crappy work. You would go there at night when they're closed, look over the cars on the parking lot and how crappy they look and how they're armor-alling the bumpers and getting it all over the paint and they're leaving wheels dirty. So you just learn from other people's mistakes on how to do a better job. And you go into the dealership and you pitch them. Mm-hmm. And you sell yourself. And that's what I did. I opened up a detail shop. The day before I opened, I had 15 cars out there waiting for me to do them. And I had 3 employees ready to work. So yeah, it's been an interesting trip.
Definitely. With that, are you trying to match the competition's price, or you're saying, hey, I'm going to offer a better service at a higher price?
Better, higher price. Probably like $10 here, $10 there, but upcharging for everything. I mean, the people that, in at least the Metro Detroit area, that managed and owned high volume detail shops were basically grunts that thought they could go into business, that had no people skills. They didn't know how to build relationships with dealerships. I worked in dealerships. I had a detail shop catering to dealerships for 20 years prior to that. And as an auto appraiser, I went into dealerships, into body shops and things like that all the time. So me walking into a dealership and going right to a general manager or a used car manager is no big deal. I'm more in there being able to go and talk to them about how's business, what's selling right now, what's not, talking business, on their level, and then, talking to them about detailing secondhand. So building their trust and their rapport is really important. So I ran a high volume detail shop. I had 10 detailers and 2 drivers plus me. And I did that up until COVID. COVID scared everybody away. All the dealerships closed. All my detailers were scared to come to work. I made it so easy for them. Like, hey, if you want, I had like a 4,000 square foot shop. Like, hey, if you want this side of the shop on Monday and, this guy gets this side of the shop just so you could make an income. They're like, I'm afraid to come out to work. Well, why? Well, what if the person in front of me driving has COVID? What do you mean?
Right.
What if they have COVID in front of me and they sneeze and it goes out their door and it goes into me and I get it? You're going to take care of my family and and pay my medical bills? No. Well, I'm not coming to work. So they just, that's the kind of mentality. So at that time, I was doing work for a car collector um, who had a large Porsche collection, and I was working nights and weekends for him after running my detail shop. I went to work for him full time, and it went great ever since. When things started to open back up, um, the collector basically didn't want me to come back to my business and made me an offer that was fantastic. And a friend of mine in the detailing business wanted to expand his operation and be in that area. I ended up selling the business to him. So it worked out perfect. And
That's awesome.
yeah, so I've been with this collector right now as the collection manager basically for about 10 years.
That's amazing. How did you leverage your shop to extend into what you're doing now? Did you have dealership work and then private client work and different price points, and then certain guys can do paint corrections and coatings, or you just left that stuff too on the side? How was that structured?
95% of the business was wholesale dealer detailing. We did a lot of upsells, paint corrections, like a heavy one step, no knockdown, drag out, leveling of any sort, unless the car really demanded it and they wanted to pay. But we would charge extra for tar and dog hair, excessive soiling and that kind of thing. So my guys wanted to learn how to do paint correction, and hey, nothing better than learning on a crappy dealership car. So they
Totally.
were familiar with it. I had some really good guys, and they would do my retail work. So when a paint correction and a ceramic coating came in, they were my guys to do all that. And I structured it to where everybody made a commission. It was 35%. If it was a $2,500 ceramic coating, I would take out the cost on a ceramic coating, $150, $200 for the cost of the products, and then they would get 35% of that. Yeah, they could make
There you go.
And
Definitely.
Yeah.
Everyone wins in that scenario.
Yeah. And the first guy that worked for me when I opened up my shop in the early 90s worked for me until this day right now for the same company that I sold my company to. So,
wow.
Yeah.
When you're doing commissions, is it, I mean, you're a straight shooter. You're from Detroit, Michigan, so are you able to say, hey, we got to keep the standard? I mean, did people have a hard time, sticking to the standard when they wanted to push out more volume?
Yeah, there's always that. I mean, the more they do, the more they make. And keep in mind that all my detailers were subcontractors since day one, since early 90s. They've been subcontractors. I've met with tax attorneys. I've met with my accountant, and they showed me how to structure the business to where I'm not going to get into trouble with, the state and the government for paying these guys incorrectly. There's a lot to lose if you do that. And that saved me the most amount of money, is not having to pay payroll taxes, because they were truly subcontractors, independent contractors. So they bought their own products. They made their own hours. I never told them when to come or how to do a job. And you really need to follow the guidelines of what an independent contractor is, and you can't stray from there.
Got it.
And they were great. They were happy because they didn't have taxes taken out of their check. They could do write-offs when it came time to doing their taxes. I taught them how to do that. Save all your receipts, and this is what you can write off, and so forth. So they made, if they made $1,000, they put $1,000 in their pocket. They didn't have to pay taxes on that up front.
Right. So do you have SOPs, the standard, procedures that you have for your shop, or when you're hiring them on, you kind of get a good feel of what to expect from them?
The biggest thing is hiring somebody with quote unquote experience, because nobody, hardly no one came in with correct experience. They're at a high volume detail shop doing the worst, terrible work, just absolutely terrible. So sometimes it'd be better to just give somebody a try that didn't have experience at a shop, but were passionate and loved cars, and kind of having one of my guys train them and paying them how to train them, how to do it, how we do things. Now, there's different ways of doing a car. And I'm not going to say, hey, you need to do the inside first or outside first. It's up to them how they want to do it. I can give them my suggestions, but everybody, as long as they can get from A to Z correctly, I don't care how they get to it. I had two people inspecting cars along with me, so cars had to look great, and our quality was really, really good. When you got that many eyes looking at it, yeah, very, very little comebacks, which is unheard of for the dealership business.
Yeah.
And Michigan being cold, your people aren't spending money in the winter months having their cars detailed. So you have to do, if you're going to be successful in this business in Michigan, you've got to have some element of volume business. So very little mobile detailers in Michigan.
Right. How what has kind of been your go-to process for the salt that goes on the roads for maintaining paint? Is O&R, is power clean enough? I love the touchless decon wash that we have now. What would have been some of kind of your drawbacks with salt?
Salt is one of the easiest things to wash off your car. It doesn't take heavy chemicals to wash salt off. And you can easily prove that by just rinsing a car off that has super scaly salt all over it. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a road film, not a salt film. So salt is very easy, but it's corrosive. So while it's on there, it's damaging or can damage. So what I advocate to everybody, even my ceramic coating customers, and I take it, I also do it myself, touchless car washes. Find a good touchless car wash, get a membership there, and wash your car as much as you can. And then occasionally, done. The more you keep your car clean, the more it's going to come clean when you take it through a touchless car wash. You're not going to damage the paint, and there you are. So that's the easiest thing I can say to maintain a car.
Definitely.
But unfortunately, the cars that I maintain, in the collection, they can't be, they're not driven.
Right.
Most of them are driven, and then conventional washing is kind of off the table usually.
Yeah. So if we're talking about large collections of high-end vehicles that have long-term ceramic coatings on them, what does maintenance look like?
Well, I'm in a airplane hangar, probably like a 15,000 plus square foot airplane hangar. And when you have the lights off during the day, you can see all the little holes in the walls where light comes through. So it's a pretty dusty out building. Plus, I'm detailing and blowing out pads in that same building, so it gets really dusty. Not a problem for O&R. If I don't wash the cars for a couple of months because we're busy and they have a thick film of dust, not a problem. O&R cleans it, no problem at all. I don't need to pre-wash. I don't need to foam them. I don't need to do any of that. And again, no scratches. The key is the towels, having the right towels, knowing how to touch the paint properly. That's my secret to success, I guess, with that.
Yeah, definitely. Tug, what are you thinking?
So I was thinking, and before you even, like when we were before we started recording, my thinking was like, I've always asked people what somebody doing high-end cars, like Jay Leno's detailers, or like you doing how do people get into high-end cars? It seems to me, at least for you, and I think you're not just going to start a shop and like go find people with Porsches and Ferraris and then that's your bit. You know what I mean? It's a 20-year-old's probably not going to find that. You're probably going to have some age on you. You've been around, you've worked other jobs, you have connections, and then you meet that one person who introduces you to somebody else. It just seems like that. So I think sometimes, and I think you're a good example of like a path to follow, because I know a lot of these guys can get discouraged, like, oh, I'm doing ratty 08 Corollas that are trash, and and I saw somebody posted in a group recently that they did. He sounded super young. He spent 11 hours detailing, I don't know what it was, a Traverse or something. I don't even know what year it was. 11 hours, which is insane. And the customer just showed up, paid his bill, and left. And he was like so discouraged. I could hear it in the words. He was so like let down that's the guy just got in his car and left. But you know what I mean? It's just, and seeing like your level and that. And I'm not saying this guy doesn't know, he's stupid and you know everything. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's like you said earlier, it's a way of thinking. It's a path you're following.
So what you're saying, I can just take away. Doesn't sound like he has much character. Possibly.
Right.
He didn't build a relationship with a customer. When a customer came in and explained everything he did, and hey, I did the best I could in this little corner. There's a lot of heel marks, and I can't get this stuff out. I tried. If you want to bring it back after it dries thoroughly, I can maybe hit it again.
Right.
You need to continue to sell the customer after you've already gotten the job. So it doesn't sound like he did that. The guy just got in and left. He let him leave, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, that's what my thought was. And I thought to myself, because as I was doing an interior today, I don't know why I was even thinking about it, just because I've been there. I've been in that kid's shoes. And I was just thinking, I thought to myself, it's not that guy's fault that he just got in his car and left. And maybe he's busy. Maybe his wife just yelled at him. She called him, "Get home now. I can't believe you spent all this money on detailing." And the kid probably didn't charge enough. And I was thinking, that's your fault that the customer kind of just got in his car and left, because you didn't kind of open the door for anything else. Not that you got to sit there and chit chat for 20 minutes, but
you have to be able to control the dialogue.
Yeah.
And like I said, continue selling. And asking for another sale. Hey, do you know anybody else that would be able to use my service? Would you like to go on a plan where I detail your car every 3 months? Blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's a lot to be discussed when a customer their car.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you're new, you don't know these things.
Right.
Especially when you're a detailer and you want to get into the business side. A lot of these people don't have the mentality to run a business and network. That's the biggest thing, is meeting people and meeting the right people. And that's what I need to have up until now, is meeting the right people.
Yeah.
I searched out the right people, because I figured the VIPs, the people with the collections and the cars, the wealthy people that know everybody, they're good people to know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And maybe the average person isn't going to find them, especially if a town has like a lot of detailers, but not a lot of people. Who knows? But I like, because I can just sit there and just kind of ramble. So I usually do like a pre-video, just saying, here's the condition of your car, and I'm not doing high end stuff. But I like doing a report prior to the job, and then I do the job, and then I do a post, and it's usually try to keep it a minute. So that's like already 2 times I've communicated with them. People like when you talk about their car, and then I'll usually tell them, because I want a review, and I say, leave a review on Google. I'll give you 15% off your next service. And they're, oh, okay. And I usually get a pretty good response. Plus, it gets them back in the door, because usually when people leave, they're not thinking of you anymore. But at least this kind of holds it in their head, like, oh, okay, well, you know what, my husband's car needs to be, maybe, yeah, sure, we'll do that. They might not say that then, but that, because it's so much easier to take care of your current customers rather than try to go get new ones. And of course, you need new ones.
Sure, but so the most valuable customer is one that's already done business with you. You can continue to network, continue to send messages, continue following up. Even if it's not about anything. If it's not about detailing a car, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. I remember you said that you have a husky dog, and I was, considering husky dog, and wondered what your thoughts were, or if you knew any good, breeders. I mean, you want to talk to them about everything except detailing if you can, to build a friendship.
Okay. Right.
And need to be doing it every few months.
Right.
Hey, I drove by your place the other day and I couldn't help to think of you when I drove near your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be like literally a 10 to 20 word text to them, and they'll appreciate it.
Right.
Definitely.
Exactly. One other thing, David, I wanted to, because we talked about this before the recording started, and and I don't know what your thinking is exactly, because we can all say raise your prices. Like detailers need to raise their prices. I've heard other people say that to me, and I think, how do you know? Somebody says raise your prices. How do you know I'm not already charging double what the the current market in my area is? You know what I mean? So, like, what are your thoughts on, and what do you mean by? And I agree with it, that detailers need to raise their prices.
Yeah, there's such stagnation in the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's exhausted me to no end fighting this battle online for well over 10 years. Gosh, probably 15 years. And detailers they settle for whatever makes them happy.
Right.
Good enough for me to live. It's good enough. If I'm only charging $200 for a detail and I can put gas in my car, and at the end of the week I've got, $500 in my pocket, good enough.
Right.
And that's what you're competing with.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing that I just spent a day on a car and I charged $250 when another guy that charges for the same amount of time is four figures.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing wrong?
Right.
So it's education. They lack education.
Right.
They need to know how much the going rate is. Bottom line, if there's somebody in your town charging $2,500 for a ceramic coating, you need to be charging at least that. You can't be doing it for $1,500. You can't be a loss leader.
Right.
And I've always been the highest, the most expensive, detailer
Mm-hmm.
that I know of in my area.
Yeah.
And you attract the customers that don't mind paying. I don't want to attract the penny pinchers. I don't want to attract the person that's comparing me with the guy that's $200 cheaper.
Right.
That's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
If I sell them and I follow up on them, that's what they want more. They want to be, they want to have dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
They know that you're competent, able to do their car. If it's singly down to price, you probably don't want their business anyways. They're going to be picky and be a pain in the ass.
Right.
So yeah, pricing is very important for success. And if you're considering yourself as a professional, and this is your trade, your business, your life, you want to raise a family, you want to have a house.
Right.
You can't be charging $200 for a detail or
Yep.
$300. So
Right.
I have the price sheet that I posted online a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was my price sheet from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what it was, but like a full bumper to bumper, I called it detail.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 90s was $250, and it didn't even include polishing.
Okay.
Outside, an engine.
Yeah.
Why are people still charging the same prices?
I know. Yeah.
Dr. G has MAP pricing. He's one of the only companies, Optimum, that actually gives guidelines for prices.
Right.
That's the problem, I think. If I could go off on a tangent, I think the problem today in our industry with dime a dozen ceramic coating professionals are they have no help from the ceramic coating company that they're buying from. They just have a sound product. They don't want to coach them on what you need to charge. They don't. They're busy like making sure you got to make sure the paint's clean and you got to make the paint perfect and blah blah blah. They don't talk about pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, if you do not suggest a pricing to your people that are representing you, it makes you look bad.
Yeah. Right.
And Optimum's never done that. They've always had MAP pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always followed that minimum or double or triple it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And like for Pro, what is it? Pro 3 is how much? Three plus grand?
It's 2,500.
Okay, but that's the best one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, how many people are charging $2,500 for ceramic coating these days?
Not
Maybe
many.
Retailers are, but most aren't getting that kind of money, and it's pathetic.
Right. Yeah.
There's been a trajectory of prices downward as ceramic coatings have saturated the market instead of the opposite way.
Hmm.
It's cheating the industry.
Yeah. It is weird, and I agree. I've noticed the same thing. It seems like, you want to be competitive. One of my customers, like he had competitive. He left a review. It was a good review. He was competitive. I don't know if I want to be competitive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. I think I am the most expensive in where I am, but I have seen a downward trend of these, especially since a few certain companies have popped up all of a sudden, and there seems to be like an explosion of all these like detailers going pro, weekend warriors. So I noticed this year over the summer, every day I see a new mobile kid on Facebook, and like they're charging 199 for an in and out detail, and I think I was charging more than that in 2013, and I know that's not the 90s, but 250 in the 90s, that was a premium price. I was still charging less than that in 2013. So I didn't know any better. I thought, well, I can't be the most expensive. Because I know there was another shop down the street who had way more overhead than I did. It was a big, huge car lot he owned.
mhm.
And I know his mortgage was 5-6 grand a month. And how can I be more expensive than him? And, you live and learn. You're going to make the mistakes of undercharging. It is what it is, as long as you don't stay there. But I've noticed a downward trend of like, why I was charging, 1,500 when I first started doing Opti-Coat in 2015. But that's what a 5-year coating is still going for. That's 10,
10 years ago.
it's 10 years ago. Why in the world is it still $1,500? I don't understand.
Because your competition isn't getting trained properly from their distributors.
Yeah.
That's the reason. It's
Yeah.
they are ruining the industry for us and themselves, period.
Right.
Do you know another company that trains their installers how to price? Is there one?
Not that
I don't
I'm
know.
aware.
Yeah. I mean, to have map pricing across the country,
I
that's
doubt it. Yeah.
Right. So, David, let's say detailers listening to this and they want to take it seriously and they go, all right, I'm going to raise my prices. Then what? Then they go find their the right customer base. Do you have some tips and tricks? Is it a Chamber of Commerce thing? Is it a friend of friend thing? What's that next step?
the first thing is before you decide to raise your prices, you need to do research on the market, what it will bear, who is the most expensive, and what are they doing. You need to mimic that and do better. If you're charging more, you need to be able to be that good or better. And that's the bottom line right there. And you're going to get cheap people. You don't want to be like the cheap people. You want to be like the high end people.
Yeah.
So that's a hurdle in itself,
Yeah.
just to do the research and be able to charge your prices. The problem is, and I saw it from a local, very successful shop. They at one time in in the 90s had the highest prices, and I actually mimicked my prices off of them and actually raised it. And they continued to be successful and stay in the industry, ran a very successful business, and raised their prices $10 every year. Okay. Then when ceramic coatings came along, they didn't jump on the bandwagon. They continued their very, very snail pace trajectory. And when it came time to be able to charge $1,500, going from 400 to 1,500, their customers couldn't close the gap. So they lost a lot of business by not being up with the times. So the moral of the story is, if you start low, tripling your prices is really hard. You're basically going to lose
Right.
customers. How many are going to follow suit with that? So it's better to do it higher end pricing and stick with that. There's other options. If
Definitely.
it's too expensive, then you can add glass, you can add wheels, you can add, all kinds of things to build value. But back like when $1,500 was the going rate to polish and ceramic coat a car, we were charging $400 to $500 extra for wheels. Now people are including it in their pricing.
Right.
And I just don't get it. I don't get it. Everything should be a la carte. Every single door jams, doing the underside of your hood, doing the underside of your trunk, everything. Offer them. There's a benefit there, offer it to them. Don't throw it in. So many detailers are throwing in glass and wheels, wheel faces. Why? Why are you doing that? So I'm
Right.
And I'm not an all-in-one kind of pricing guy. That's a big no-no. Everything needs to be a la carte.
Yeah.
If you do a paint correction, like one step $250, second step another $250, you're getting yourself into trouble. Because that could be a very, very big job. And you're gonna
Okay.
yeah. So I've never been one for posting prices on a website. And I don't even have a website right now because I don't want that business.
Yeah.
It was always starting at, okay. Never list a range because you just locked yourself into that range.
Right.
There's so many variables with cars. There should be variables with your pricing. Don't get yourself in a trick bag. Your biggest thing your website can do is get them to call you. If you have your Google hours listed that you close at 5 o'clock, me personally, I kept it till 10 o'clock. And I think if you go on davidfermani.com, I don't even have a website, but I have a Google listing that doesn't get much activity, but I keep it till 10 o'clock. I want people to call me. If I'm doing nothing, unless I've got an engagement, I won't answer the phone, but I want people to call me and talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at home, it's 8 o'clock, and let them know that you're at home, but you're taking the time to talk to them. It's not
Definitely
business hours, but you're still fielding an incoming potential lead.
Yeah.
So that's another big thing is your hours, being able to attract people to call you.
Right. Being available.
definitely
Hours, till 5 or 6, and they're getting home from work. They've had a busy day, and they're looking for detailers, and they see that one that says, "Oh wow, he's open till 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock." Guess what? They're probably going to call you.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I've seen some people fight that. Oh, that's my time. I'm not, going to answer the phone. Okay, well, fine. Good for you. Somebody is.
Right.
Yeah, someone's calling, someone's answering. So you mentioned being able to control the dialogue. How important in the perspective of like you said, most people, they want to talk about their story. That's why they're calling you. Their car is special to them. How important is your story versus their story when it comes to controlling the dialogue?
My story is not important. I don't want to brag. I want to know about them. I want to ask them engaging questions, like about their car. What do you use it for? How do you wash it? The biggest thing is, how do you wash your car? How do you maintain it? So you need to quiz them when they're calling you. Most people aren't doing that. They're not prices. You need to ask lots of questions, and you need to, when they call you, you need to get their name, and you need to confirm their telephone number, and you need to write that number down, because then you can call them back. Hey, we spoke yesterday, and just wondering, if you're ready to move forward. If you have any questions, just let them know I'm here for you if you have any questions. And urge that, hey, look, I don't want to just, anytime you're polishing paint on someone's car, obviously because you're removing, layers of paint. Look, I'm removing paint from your car. I want to make sure I'm not doing this more than a few times. So I need to teach you how to wash your car and maintain it, and give you suggestions on maybe products you should consider. How many people are doing that?
Right.
Show that you care about their car, and and that'll help.
That goes back to if you're charging low, then you're probably going to be high volume. There's no way you're going to be able to take care of any of your customers. There's just going to be too many of them.
Well, if you have workers, on at your place to do it, you sure can.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, we were doing, in my detail shop when I moved back to Michigan, we were doing 20, 25 cars a day.
Okay.
Everybody did usually 3 cars a day. That was like to receive bonus at the end of the week. You'd have to do 3 cars, a day. And they were good cars that needed very little touch-ups. They don't want to finish a car, start on another one, and then have to, be pulled off that to finish. Hey, you didn't vacuum this good enough. You left wax here. That kind of thing.
And the follow-up to that, and you're right, because I don't think from the employee perspective, because I don't have any, but how many detailers have like a crew? How many are solo? I know for me, there's only one shop that has employees. I think everybody else is solo.
What state are you in?
I'm in South Central PA.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
state for volume.
What's that?
PA is a huge state for volume.
You would think so. I guess in this part, it's a little different. It's because it's a bedroom community, so it's kind of very laid back and very.
Who's doing
What's that?
Who's doing the dealership details?
Nobody. Dealers do not send their stuff out.
Holy
I know, and that's all I ever did. I just did. I think we did 50. Well, just me, and usually my wife was helping. So 2 of us were doing 50, 60 dealer cars a month. But nobody sends any out. It's just the market is very much changed. Now, I wouldn't want to do dealer cars anymore. I mean, it would be nice, but they get in the way sometimes. But these dealers.
A one-person operation should not do dealer cars.
Right.
You want to maintain, a relationship with them and run your business, not work on cars and answer questions and talk to customers. That's not what you want to do.
Because that was my perspective. And my thinking is the reason I said, if you were doing that many cars and you're by yourself, you can't follow up with, let's say those are all general public. You're not going to follow up with them. But there's 5 or 6 detail shops in Hanover. But there's only 2 of us that work at full time. There's my shop, just me. And then there's one other one. Everybody else has full-time jobs. And then there's a couple dozen mobile guys.
How big is the town?
What's that?
How big is the town?
I mean, it's somewhat spread out, but there's about 50,000 people with the Hanover address.
What's your next biggest town? What's the biggest town that's close to you?
York.
York. Okay.
About 30 minutes. I think there's 100,000 people in the York area, maybe a little bit more, 150, somewhere in there.
You pull from that area?
Not generally, because nobody goes to York to go to Hanover to do business. You know what I mean? Unless they're meeting their friend. It's the other way around. People will go from Hanover to York because it's more stuff there. It's more of a hub. There's doctors, there's lawyers, there's that sort of thing. It's just that's the city where everybody goes to. They live here. Well, I don't live in Hanover, but they live in Hanover, but they work elsewhere because that's where the money is. I think the median household income in Hanover is the average income per person is $30,000, something like that. It's pretty low, but the median household income is just under 60,000, which isn't bad. But most of them work outside of Hanover to make money.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to making sure where you're going to open is a good spot.
Yeah,
you want to be around well-to-do areas,
right?
A lot of traffic. That's my suggestion,
and
that's what I did. I mean, South Florida was a huge mecca for wealth, and
Right.
the area of Michigan that I'm in, Detroit, I mean, is really good too.
Yep. Yeah. And like they said, location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Location is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Which is
just,
kind of ironic for you now because you're in Michigan, but you get flown out to California as
Yeah.
well every couple weeks. So that's definitely
So,
peculiar.
yeah, I would say a lot of people don't do that, but I've built a really good reputation among certain collectors of being able to, be fluent in high-end Porsches, um, very rare ones. Um, the cars that I've detailed, I probably have well over 50 world record selling prices on the cars that I've detailed. Um, and when they made like 9 of a certain car, and I've done 6 of them, that you're an aficionado on that. So
Yeah.
where the other 3 cars are in a collection, they would consider having you do their cars if they were the right, person. That's basically what happened now is, somebody that's admired my work over the last few years. There's an opportunity to bring me on and do some cars, and it snowballed into something bigger. So it's
yeah.
well, yeah. And it's not.
Would you say, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Would you say that if you're raising price, what's that?
I'm actually going to Germany next month, for the same collector to do cars out in Germany.
Wow.
That's gonna be cool.
So he has more cars in Germany?
Everywhere, yeah. Yeah.
That's exciting. Would you say, as a business, a detailing business owner, and you're working on, raising your prices or going into that next level of client, do you raise your price to the client?
So it's always structured differently, and it depends on the client, depends on the car, what they want done. You know, what I charge certain people, I can't charge that to everybody. Nor would I want to, because I can't do that level of work for everybody. I mean, we're disassembling cars. Right now, I mean, we have a complete car completely disassembled, so for cleaning. And the 2 weeks that I'm here, I'm hoping with another person to get 1 car done in 2 weeks. That's
Okay.
the work that we're doing to these things. And this is a car with just a few hundred miles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very special car. And it needs to be as perfect as possible. Nothing's obviously perfect, but I mean, we're spending an entire week, 2 of us, just polishing the paint. Every little section is getting touched. No ceramic coatings. They don't want any coatings on their car. We're pretty old, Carnauba wax on them.
Yeah.
Ribbons. I mean, they don't need that kind of protection. So the person, that type of person that I'm charging that kind of money to is totally different than the person that wants the brand new car ceramic coated. So
Sure.
yeah. And actually, my rate for ceramic coating a new car, I'll actually make a lot more doing that than doing, a collector car for a month. So
Right.
it is different. I mean, per hour type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because I stick to my prices that have been raising and raising and raising over the years. My prices have never gone down; they've always gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's never been a reflection of what anybody else is charging. It's always been what I think is fair and what I've basically been able to cultivate.
The further along that I get, I'm realizing that part of my pricing is based off of what I'm able to avoid, the mistakes that someone else might make on an interior or mess something up. Gaining the experience of knowing, oh, if just an average, you know, high school kid, college kid was like, I can clean your car. Well, you might end up ruining something. And obviously you can understand that to a more sophisticated level with these really high end things. But I'm realizing that that's a huge part of pricing too is the fact that you're able to avoid the mistakes and losing all of the time. It might take me less time. And so it's not necessarily a reflection on the amount of time that it takes, but it's a reflection on the value and also the mistakes I'm able to avoid to keep their interior or exterior in better condition in a longer term.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I mean, like, and that's why I don't stick with menu pricing, because everything's different. Every car, every customer, their expectations. I mean, if you had two Ford Explorers that came to you, are they going to be the same? Probably not. So why should the price?
Right.
You know, and I like to charge based on how many hours it's going to take me in a lot of scenarios. I mean, if you're working for $20 an hour, not a good business to be in. But a lot of people aren't okay with that.
And
with the pricing that they're charging, yeah.
Until they have to pay taxes.
Yeah, and pay rent and have a car and insurance. Yeah, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't go to an area, like Doug, I can't go to your area and charge $5,000 for a ceramic coat.
Right.
I'm probably, well aware I can't do that.
Right.
Nor could I ever. But I want to stick to the areas that I can.
Right.
And find the clientele that don't mind paying that.
Right.
So that's my angle of things. And I'm a big advocate for upselling, add-ons with Opti-Coat.
Yep.
Like Opti-Coat Pro is what, $1,000 a matte pricing?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I don't include polishing in that.
Okay.
Whether Optimum does or doesn't, I don't care.
Right.
I can show a customer price. This is matte pricing. I have to charge you $1,000.
Right.
They won't charge you anything less. They're going to give you a survey, and if they find out you paid $950, I'm going to get off the program. I'm not about to do that.
Yep.
Got to charge $1,000, and that's for ceramic coating your paint. That doesn't include your trim and your glass and your door jambs and your wheels. Oh, you want your wheels done? Everything needs to be an add-on.
Yep.
And the biggest question is, like, are you happy with the way your car looks? If you get a brand new car, I'd rather not polish a car and slap ceramic coating on it than polish it for half the day and only charge $500 extra.
Right.
I'd rather get the grand, put it on there, and maybe add another couple $100 for the wheels. I do 2 of those a day, no problem.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Definitely.
I'm not one of those people that, I have to polish your paint to ceramic coat it, whatever.
Right.
I've done so many cars where I did not polish the paint. I made sure it was clean, and it sticks just fine. It bonds properly.
Yeah.
And like my test that I did on Autopia of my company car lasted 2 years. That paint wasn't polished.
Right.
So
for the customer who says, or for the detailer who says, oh no, I might lose that customer if I'm doing all these add-ons. So you're saying that's the wrong customer you're chasing?
Yeah, but the trick is most detailers are not charging for add-ons, and they're not really talking too much about, hey, I'm going to include your door jambs, or includes this, includes that. I'd rather find somebody that I can do apples to apples with, and then do the add-ons on top of it. Most detailers aren't really, they don't know how to sell. They really don't. Try calling them. Call your competition and see how good they are on the phone.
Right.
Have one of your friends call them and script something, along the lines of, what do you do and how much is this and how much is that?
Yeah. I think
how people really don't have much of a presence on the phone.
I think there a lot of times detailers shy away from selling because it's the first thing they say. I'm not a salesman. I'm not trying to be a salesman. You should be.
You're a business owner, aren't you?
Right. Yeah, they absolutely should be selling. Selling isn't closing. Closing is something different. Selling is opening. It's asking a question usually.
Right.
It's not like, it's not high pressure like everybody. As soon as somebody hears sale, I'm not in sales. You think of the high pressure Jordan Belforts and the Grant Cardones. that style doesn't really work anymore. I mean, maybe in their circles it does, but in the detailing world, no. High pressure doesn't work. Or trying to sell solar panels or something, that sort of thing doesn't work. But it's just opening. It's just, hey, what do you think about putting a better protectant on your interior than the 6-month conditioner? I have an interior ceramic coating last 2 years. It's this much. I mean, that's it. It's not. It shouldn't be afraid.
You gotta at least offer it.
Right.
Can't get the sale if you don't.
Right.
But I defer back to my days of learning the car business, learning how to sell.
Mm-hmm.
The key was getting their name, getting their phone number, and getting them in the dealership.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get face to face with somebody,
mm-hmm.
and that's why I gravy pick customers. If I was running a day-to-day business like yourself, detailing, I couldn't get myself in front of every customer that called.
Right.
It's hard. I understand. But I really build myself up with each customer by wanting to meet with them. If you're asking their name, their phone number, and a time that you can come to meet them and see their car, holy crap, nobody's doing that.
Right.
You go there, you're at
Right.
their house, you're looking at their cars, you're commenting about other things, you've got a light, you're showing how their car looks under lights.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of being like a friend in a way. Like a consult, like you're counseling them on their car.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing to do is not even talk price.
Right.
Like when you call a dealership, you ever call a dealership and say, how much is this, this, and this? And you're in, like, if you try to find the price of a brand new car, good luck.
Right.
And that's like rule number one. You never talk price.
Right.
You give price ranges, never a firm price.
Mm-hmm.
Because price depends on the time of service and to what extent you're
Mm-hmm.
doing the work. So a lot of variables there.
Yeah.
But get in front of a customer and talk to them about what you do. Show them pictures on your phones of cars you've done. I mean, that helps. And then follow up with them and asking them for the sale. And give them a price that's going to be $1,500 to $1,800. And then when it comes time to getting it done, you charge them $1,700. You didn't charge them the full ticket, and you're still ahead.
Yeah.
Right. In our industry, how much of a sense of urgency is important, or is low pressure leading to more closing?
I mean, I'm not going to say urgency or pressure. That's not a prerequisite to a sale. Okay. You don't want to pressure somebody. You want to maintain a relationship. You want to be able to say, look, thanks for your time. I'm going to call you in a day or so just to see if you made any decisions. And then doing it.
Right.
It's like your friend, hey, what are you doing Thursday night? Oh, I'll call you Wednesday to find out what we're going to do and following up with them. It's a contract it's an agreement. If you don't let them know they're going to be calling and you call, then they're not going to be expecting.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, for years I was sending them, like on Opti-Coat, I was sending people my Opti-Coat thread that I posted on Autopia and said, look at this. This is what this product is all about. And read all the comments about how people think this is amazing. That's basically what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of different tools to sell.
Definitely.
But in high pressure and, ask them, what's it going to take for you to, get me a deposit today? That's not what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, deposits in that case, I mean, deposits are a good thing to hold an appointment. A small deposit. It's, when you back to the car business, if you were buying a car, we wouldn't accept your offer unless you're ready to leave a deposit. And if you left a deposit, it locked you in.
Right.
So I think deposits are important, but you're not going to want half money and crazy amounts. I mean, if you want to, that's up to you. I know like PPF shops that charge like half the money up front for a PPF job. I just blows my mind.
So you were talking about a local dealership or a local detail shop. I can't remember which of the two you said. They just didn't jump on the ceramic coating bandwagon. They didn't keep up. Is there a new keeping up? There's PPF, there's tint, there's these different things that are going on. What do you think is there something next that people should be doing aside from just evaluating and raising prices and explaining value?
Being aware of what's out there, because you won't know what's going to be next. You really won't. Being aware of what's out there, know what's in the market, what people are talking about, being at the forefront of innovation, that's always a bonus. I mean, that's how I got on the ceramic coating, train 15 plus years ago, is being open-minded to different things.
Mm-hmm.
And just being consumed with, growing your business, having passion, letting people know that you have passion helps.
Well, you guys, you and Scott Hare have a lot in common, being open to new things, because you can just tell with his career, it makes you easier to for people to talk to you and just to be open for. Is there a better way of doing this? Is there something better we can add value for our customers? I think it obviously translates through. So there must be something to this Autopia back in the day.
Autopia was, it was a special place, and people that were part of that were very aware of what high-end detailing really was.
Mm-hmm.
It was unlike any other forum. It was a special place, and lots of great times on that forum. I met a lot of friends. Like Todd Helm is one of my closest friends, and we met on Autopia, and we were enemies at first. I went after him. I tried taking his customers. He lived in northern Florida, but he would come down to South Florida, my backyard, and take all these high customers. So I would try sabotaging him, and I'd meet these customers after, and I'd see cars, and I'd make fun of him online, like, hey, you did this car with your rotor and you left swirls all over it. I'd call him out on the forum. We became like best of friends. I mean, I spoke to him last night, and we've been great friends. And I'd actually flown him to Michigan to work on my collector's collection probably a dozen times over the last few years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we worked together. We were basically business partners in Florida. Kept pushing each other to do better, and and it just grew into this. But I met a lot of people, like Barry Thiel, that's also in Pennsylvania. Great friend of mine. I care a lot about the guy. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Super successful guy, and he's doing good. But I mean, all Autopia. I mean, Scott Hare. I wouldn't have known anything about Optimum without Scott.
Yeah.
I was using Auto Magic, and Auto Magic is based in, I think it's Dallas or Houston, right in Scott's backyard. So
Definitely.
He knew that they were just a terrible bootleg company, and he used to teach me all the time. And hey man, I get a whole gallon of wax, liquid wax, for like $15, and you're spending $25 on a little jar of wax. Why? And we had a lot of fun back in the day, and again, just having open mind to trying new things. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so much of what we talked about, I've obviously learned from, but it's the heart of the podcast, which is just creating conversation and learning about just little ways to improve, better ways to look at things. So we really appreciate your time coming on. Was there anything that you wanted to leave us with?
Just be aware of your industry, the pricing around you, and be at the forefront of pricing, and make sure that you're on an upward trajectory and building value in yourself and your brand and what you're using. That's the moral.
Love it. Well, thanks again for your time. Thanks for coming on. Until then, we'll see ya.
Thank you.
See ya.